Okay, Dan, so our next manoeuvre is actually a chat about observations, okay? So, like you would in your car, you've got to do observations to keep yourself safe, okay? To make sure that we know what other road users are up to, okay? First of which is your mirror checks, okay? So like you would in your car, you're checking your mirrors regularly. Check your mirrors, make sure you're happy and you're aware of what's going on around you, all right? The second one is a shoulder check, okay? So if you imagine that we've pulled over to the side of the road, okay? So I'm on the pavement, okay? You'd be on your bike, obviously. Before you would pull away again, you'd have a good look over your shoulder, make sure no cars are coming, and then obviously you may or may not indicate, depending on the situation, but you'd pull away once you're happy it was safe, yeah? So that'd be a right shoulder check. If you pulled over to the right for any reason, then obviously you'd be looking over your left shoulder, getting a left shoulder check in, all right? Yeah, so we'll be checking all that on the road, all right? The last one, arguably the most important observation that we can ever do on a bike, and you just mentioned it there, blind spot checks, all right? We call them lifesaver looks, okay? It might just do that one day, okay? But yeah, if you want to call them blind spot checks or lifesavers, it's up to you, as long as you're doing them, okay? So basically, if you come around here, just sit on the bike for me. So you happy, if you sat there as if you're riding along now, you're happy with your mirrors, you can see there's Hyundais and things behind you, yeah. So they're set up for you, ready for the road, all right? Now, I bet you probably can't see the blue cones either side of you. The difference being on a shoulder check, you can get right round, have a good look, okay? On a lifesaver, you could be going 60, 70 mile an hour that way, okay? So you don't want to be turning your whole body because the bike's going to come round. It's just chin to shoulder, yeah, check that blind spot, and then you would move over. Or chin to shoulder, and then you would move over. Okay, I would say any kind of significant movement, left or right, get that lifesaver in. We also do them on roundabouts. It's a bit more complicated on roundabouts because we would normally do a lifesaver in the direction that we're about to go in. It's a bit different on roundabouts because sometimes you might be going straight ahead but look right, okay, or left, depends on the situation, okay. But you're happy with your observations? Yeah. What I want to do now is just a real quick manoeuvre just to make sure we're happy with lifesavers, because ultimately we need to be able to keep this bike under control and fairly straight whilst getting these lifesavers in, all right? So if I show you this first, okay, we're going to ride down there in a straight line, and as we pass the blue cones, okay, we're going to throw in a lifesaver, first to the right, then to the left, all right? So let's get in the habit of observations from the get-go now, okay? So I'm getting some observations in at the start. Away I go. And first right lifesaver. Second left lifesaver. And come to a smooth stop, all right? So we're just looking to make sure that you don't go veering off course whilst you're getting your lifesavers in, okay? So some observations at the start. Now depending on what's happening at that time, you might deem mirror checks to be enough, okay, or two shoulder checks, okay. I'll let you decide at this point. Fantastic. Okay, not bad at all. We're a little bit off course, okay, so we'll just turn ourselves around and we'll do the same again. Lovely. I'm happy with that. Okay, so we're going to use these observations for our next manoeuvres, okay, and obviously definitely when we get out on the road. All right, in the neutral, that's the end of that. Okay, Dan, so now we're happy with our observations. Let's move on to our final slow manoeuvre, okay, which is the U-turn. All right, so we're going to introduce these observations into this manoeuvre, and basically the idea is, imagine these white lines are your curbs. So you've got pavements either side. Now, because you've expressed an interest in going further, I have actually made this the same width as it is on test. All right, so it gives you a little flavour for what's coming next. So what we need to do, imagine we're on a real road. We've pulled over to the left, okay? These blue cones are just here to give you a starting point, all right? So you've pulled over to the left, you've assessed the situation, you're happy to do a U-turn here. So before we pull away, observation, shoulder check, okay? So good right shoulder check there. We're then going to pull away using our slow control technique. We're going to throw in a final lifesaver before we commit to that turn, all right? As you come around, obviously keep it within the white lines. Top tip for you, mate, don't stare at the white line, okay? If that was the curb in the real world and you were staring at it, you're going to ride straight into it. So pick something down the road, a tree, a lamppost, anything, a parked car, something that's further on down the road, and stare at that instead, all right? So I'll give you a quick demonstration. Shoulder check. Pull away. We're going to throw in that final lifesaver. There it is. And around we go. Notice I'm not looking at the curb. I'm looking down the road. Lovely. Good. So we'll do that again. I reckon we can smooth that out even more, but well done for not putting your foot down there. The beginnings of your foot going down were happening then, but yeah, the trick is just apply a bit more res and feed your way out of it, so you're slow controlling your way out. All right, same again. Fantastic. We've finished with our slow manoeuvres. What we need to do now is just start increasing the speed ready for the road. Before we go too mad with the speed, let's make sure you're using both brakes now, okay? So we've been using the rear brake up to now. We're going to introduce the front brake. And this little exercise is just basically a braking exercise. We're going to ride around in a big circuit, okay, counterclockwise. Over there, we're going to stop at the line. So think of that as a junction. You're going to pull up at the line, all right? We're then going to come around to the left and we're going to stop again in this box. So think of it like a, I don't know, parking space, something like that, okay? But what we're looking for is smooth, progressive braking, okay? So basically no snatching at the brakes, okay? No coming to a halt by skidding, okay? No throwing yourself over the front and all that sort of stuff. So just nice, smooth, progressive braking. Apply and then squeeze. That's how it's done, okay, rather than grab. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're going to get a bit more oomph going, okay, a bit more speed, okay. Don't go too wild. Obviously, we haven't got a lot of space, okay, but don't go too wild. But yeah, a bit more speed and a nice smooth stop. All right, I'll show you what it looks like. So again, getting into the habit of those observations at the start. Around we go, nice and steady. And as I come round here, I'm going to increase the speed, throttle off, front brake, back brake, and a nice smooth stop, okay, clutch in before I stall. Again, observations. So I'm already looking around, looking for my next obstacle, accelerating, throttle off, front brake, back brake, and clutch in before I stall. Happy with that? Okay, so it's good, we can learn from it. Obviously you didn't get your clutch in early enough, all right? Also, lack of observations at the start. Beautiful. Lovely. Excellent. Okay, Dan, so now we've got you stopping nice and smoothly and progressively. We're going to introduce the emergency stop now, or stopping as if in an emergency, all right? So what's going to happen is you're going to start where I am. I'm going to go stand further on down the road there. When my hand goes up, you need to get this bike stopped as if you're in a real emergency, okay? So the temptation with emergency stopping is just to dive on the brakes, grab a whole load of everything, okay? The problem with that, especially with these conditions, is you're going to upset your balance. You run the risk of your grip disappearing, all right, and obviously you'll be sat on the floor wondering what happened. So we're sticking with that progressive even braking technique, all right. We don't want to get too much weight transfer in these conditions. Obviously if it was bone dry, we could apply a lot of front brake, okay, use the power of that brake, but not today. Okay, we'll apply both brakes evenly and progressively together. So apply, squeeze hard, all right. Now you're going to come to a stop, okay. In the perfect world, you'll come to a stop without skidding, okay. Everything will be nice and controlled as we want to see it. And then once you do stop, it's really important that you immediately get some observations in around you, okay. You need to make sure that everybody behind you has stopped, all right. Now in the real world, if they have, fantastic, okay. You can restart your bike if it's stalled, okay, which is perfectly fine, all right. Restart your bike, do some observations and carry on when you're ready, assuming that obviously the reason why you stopped, it went well in the first place. Get some observations in at the start. We're going for a bit more speed. My hand is going to go up now. And that's it. Happy with that? Now I'll be brutally honest with you, I let that stall then, okay. I just wanted to highlight the fact that it doesn't matter, but more importantly, get yourself stopped and get those observations in without even thinking about it. Yeah. Okay? Happy?
Yeah.
I'll take this back to the start and it's all yours. Okay, so remembering shoulder checks when we stop, so get some observations in. A tiny little skid at the end there, nothing that would be deemed as out of control. Okay, so we'll just try that again, round we go. Good, very nice. That's lovely. Okay, so don't be worrying that we haven't quite got the speed. Well, we're nowhere near the speed. Okay, what we're doing here is just making sure the procedure is right. We're going to go on the road, okay, very shortly in fact, and we're going to do this exact same thing but at 30 miles an hour. So believe me, that will be realistic. All right. Okay, Dan. So our final manoeuvre of the day. All right, before we head out on the road. It's basically a T-junction. All right, now I've been watching you all morning turning left and right. Okay, I'm satisfied that you can do that. That's not really what we're too interested in here. What I'm really interested in is the lead up to it. Now, as a car driver, you've probably heard of mirror signal manoeuvre. All right, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Okay, for us we use OSM PSL. Have you heard of that one? Nope. No, nobody ever has. Okay, but we'll talk through it. So basically, the idea is, as you're approaching a T-junction or something similar like this, you're going to run through this procedure in your head, much the same as mirror signal manoeuvre. Okay, it has the same result really. Okay, so I need a bit of imagination at this point. Okay, so here you are riding down the road, okay, minding your own business. You're going to have an earpiece in, so you're going to hear me talking to you when we're out there, and I'm going to say to you, at the end of the road, take a left. Okay, so thinking, observations, signal, move, position, speed, look. Okay, that's what OSM PSL is. Observation, signal, move, position, speed and look. Now, depending on the movements you're going to make as well, you might be throwing in a lifesaver. All right, we'll consider that on the road and we'll chat about that more on the road. Okay, there's not really much space to be throwing all that in here, so don't worry too much about the lifesaver at this point. We'll fine tune that on the road. Okay, so with that in mind, there's our left turn. Happy with that? Yeah. There's our right turn into the puddle. Happy with that? Superb. So I'll just demonstrate what we're after here. So here we are riding down the road. You can bob around if you want, it is optional. Okay, you'll hear me say take a left. So at that point I'm thinking observations, so I'm checking my mirrors, okay, which is normally the thing you do. Okay, signal, my indicator's gone on. All right, now you'll notice I am in the middle of the lane. Okay, this is the safest place for you to be on a bike. Okay, slap bang in the middle of your lane. All right, gives you the best escape left to right. But the PSL part of it, okay, or the manoeuvre part of the old way of doing it, the mirror signal manoeuvre, is moving left for left, moving right for right, okay, or moving yourself into an appropriate position for the turn you're about to make. Okay, so we'll start from the top, shall we? We're riding along. You'll hear me say take a left. So check the mirrors, indicators going on. Now at this point we would already be moving, but due to our lack of space we're not. So I'm going to throw in that lifesaver that we've considered. There it is. Okay, and away we go. We're moving towards the left here. Now I've just highlighted the end of the road with the blue cone. You'll notice that I followed the curve of the road round. Okay, I'm getting a good look. Yep, I'm happy. And obviously in the real world I'd be off down the road. All right, cancelling my indicator, job done. So if we were going to take a right, we'd be riding along the road and you'll hear me say take a right, so I'm checking the mirrors. Right indicator this time, okay, considering a right lifesaver, and obviously towards the right we go. Don't go too far over to the right, you don't want to be risking any contact with oncoming vehicles there. We're checking for traffic, it's all clear, surprise surprise, and away we go. And again in the real world you'd be off down the road that way and you'll cancel your indicator. Now if I can get you to do the same for me, this is what we call a minor to major left and right turn. Okay, so basically our road stops. In a second we're going to flip it over and we'll do major to minor, okay, to show you the subtle differences there. So when you're ready, observations, signal. Obviously we're going to throw a lifesaver in, why not? There we go. And then PSL, position, speed, look. So position left, fantastic. You slowed down, you're going to get a good look in. Fantastic, and around we go. And in the real world, obviously, we continue on down the road. We're going to move on to the right turn. So basically, it's essentially exactly the same, but everything's to the right. So you ready? Not bad at all. Okay, so obviously in the real world, this building wasn't here, and on the approach to the junction, just like you would in your car, if you can see it's clear, there's nothing wrong with getting your checks in, okay, as long as you're doing plenty of checks, happy it's clear, and carrying on without stopping. You don't have to stop every time, that's just something we've done for practice purposes. Okay, if you can go back to the start, now we're going to flip it over and do major to minor. We're going to run through the same procedure. The difference being is there isn't a sort of exact stopping point as like there is at the end of a road. Okay, so if we're taking a left turn, we have priority. Okay, pretty easy, that one. So as you approach it, you're checking your mirrors, you're getting your indicator on, and you're positioning over to the left as part of your OSM PSL routine. Okay, now as long as you've done all that quite swiftly, okay, you don't really need to get that final lifesaver in before you turn left. Okay, what I would say to you is if some time has passed, or if there's a cyclist around, or there's kids running down the pavement or something like that, then yes, definitely throw in that extra observation. Okay, but normally on a left turn there's not too much going on. Okay, so just checking the mirrors, getting that indicator on, positioning over to the left, and around you go. All right, but please don't be afraid to throw in extra lifesaver if you feel necessary. With the right though, a little bit more complicated. Okay, so you may or may not have a filter lane to get into. Okay, you know this from your car driving. Okay, as you approach it, you're doing the same routine. Okay, but before you move into the filter lane, you're throwing in a lifesaver. Okay, and then before you sort of exit the filter lane, as it were, and turning into the road you're turning into, again, there'll be a second lifesaver there. Okay, I will be talking you through all this on the road, so don't worry, I don't have to remember it all right now. But yeah, you're basically throwing in extra lifesavers. Now, if it's the same as this, imagine our road carries on straight ahead now. Okay, and these are just two sort of side roads off to the side. So we're turning right without a filter lane. There's nowhere to officially be, as it were. So we're still going to do the same here. We're going to check our mirrors, we're going to position over to the right, etc. And we're going to stop with our front wheel roughly in line with those yellow cones, which is basically the centre of the road that we're turning into. What we don't want to do is go too far forward, because you'll be turning back on yourself to get round. Okay, so it'd be a lot easier if you stop a bit further back. Okay, you can get that check in and around you go. Now, if you haven't had to stop, if there's no cars coming, okay, you just throw in a lifesaver and around you go. If you've got to stop, so you, like we just discussed, you stop in line with those yellow cones, you wait for the cars, you throw in a stationary shoulder check, and then you go round. So if you just humour me with a left first, and then we'll do a right. Then as always, we'll go and fine tune this on the road. So here we go, the right hand one. Okay, this is the important one. Good. Okay, a little bit wobbly, but the basics are there. Okay, so we're going to do that again and again and again. Okay, but that was nice, very nice. Now we're happy with your major to minor right turns. We're just going to tweak it one last time. Okay, this time you're basically not going to stop. Okay, so as you approach it, you're checking, you're happy, you've done a right lifesaver, and you're going to carry around. Okay, so where you basically did your shoulder check, just a smidgen before that, you're going to throw me in a right lifesaver as you're moving, and just carry on without stopping. All right. Around about there, beautiful. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so we'll do a few more of those, and then you're ready for the road.